Melda have released a new instrument for M Sound Factory called Analog Empire Pads and Strings. To create this instrument, Melda tried to capture the essence of various analog synths by multi-sampling them with 5 velocity layers and multiple notes per octave. So with a lot of detail, and like this instrument is hopefully very expressive and captures that analog sound well. Let me walk you through pads and strings. As mentioned, this is a sample-based synth, and you can select between 32 different multi-samples in these menus A or B, and both have access to the same 32 sample sets. You can mix between the two sample sets with this A-B knob. Let's hear just sound A for now. Turn off some effects. And that's how a dry sample you find in here might sound. Or like this. Or like this. And if you select a different sample set for sound B, you can mix the two samples. And these color-coded knobs give you a first layer of control over each sound layer separately. Let's focus on sound A again. We can change the pitch. For example, pitch it up an octave and blend in some of sound B. And now sound A is playing an octave higher than sound B. Drift. With this one you can introduce some analog drift, so the pitch won't stay very constant, but it might shift around a bit. There is a unison control, which introduces duplicate voices that you can then spread with this control. And tone gives you control over a high and low pass filter with one knob. And you get these controls for sound A and sound B separately. These 4 knobs down here, rate, flow, fade, and time, are all automation controls for the A-B mix. Flow is an LFO that shifts the mix more to A and then to B and back to A again and so on. So flow controls the depth and direction of this oscillating A-B movement. And rate controls the speed at which this movement happens. Alright, well, flow and rate are controlling an LFO that controls the A-B mix. Fade and time together work more like an envelope. So let's start all the way on sound B. Put the fade to -100. Now we're starting from all the way over on this position, side A, and in this amount of time, we're fading over to side B. This can be as fast as this, or also very slow. An interesting technique with this is if you start with sound A on the regular octave, and then you use fade to modulate over to sound B, you can start to fade in something pitched up. You can create something that sounds kind of similar to a shimmer reverb, right? After sound A and B get mixed together, they both go through the amp envelope and then through the filter. We can, for example, increase the release time on the amp envelope bit and make it a bit lusher. And maybe slow down the attack a bit to make it a bit more pad-like. And then we might want to turn down the cutoff a bit to make it a bit more atmospheric. You also have a resonance control right here, and you can select between 4 different filter types. I'm going to stick with low pass for now. There's key tracking. Without key tracking, this higher note sounds like this. And with key tracking, we get back some of the brightness, but the lower notes stay a bit darker, not like if we would just raise the cutoff again. We can also make the filter respond to velocity. And we can also map the cutoff from this frequency knob to the filter envelope. And give the filter some movement. Let's see how these settings sound with some different samples. Pretty cool. Oh, one of them is quite bright. Is it this one? Yeah. Let's turn down this tone knob a bit to tame the brightness of the smoky skies, and then blend back in A. Now they mix a bit better, I think. Pretty nice. And there's also an effects page with some useful synth effects. Let's add a chorus. Some reverb. There's even a shimmer reverb. There's a lo-fi tape effect. And even a master section with some handy master effects like a final high and low pass filter, an EQ, compression, saturation, and a maximizer. And maybe let's use this with control to make the sound even wider than it already is. We can make the low end mono with this knob right here up to 200 Hz. This might come in handy when it comes to fitting this sound into a mix, right? You also have some nice presets in here made by professional sound designers. I sprinkled in some demos throughout the video. Let's hear some more. By default, the mod wheel is mapped to the frequency knob, so you can use it to control the filter. On the globals tab, you'll see that the synth also has MPE capabilities. This keyboard has polyphonic aftertouch, so I can increase the use pressure knob. And if I press down harder to use the aftertouch feature, it's going to modulate the pitch. If I want to keep using pressure while going through presets, I can just lock these two values, and then when I change the preset, these settings will stay as they were. Analog Empire Pads and Strings is free for M Sound Factory and M Sound Factory LE owners, and if you don't own either of these products yet, consider checking out the free 14-day trial. Thank you very much for watching. I have been Sylvan from the channel Send to Sound Factory. See you again soon.